Do you manage a remote sales team? It can be hard to build a strong, healthy culture when you don't share an office. By the end of this video, you'll have actionable ideas for uniting your remote team. Here's the thing, welcome to post-COVID. Everyone has a remote sales team now. Pretty much everyone has a remote team, and it's been a challenge. It's definitely been a struggle. I feel for large sales teams that can no longer be in an office together, because I can only imagine how challenging that has been. My own company has been virtual, and we have team members who are all over the country. So I definitely feel your pain. I want to give you some tips today that I think will really help you if you do have a remote sales team. First and foremost, in order to build a strong culture with a remote sales team, you want to make sure that every sales team member knows their sales goals. Now, this sounds pretty obvious, but over the years in my experience, this is a question I've had to ask salespeople multiple times. So I might be brought in to work with a sales team, and I'll ask an individual salesperson what their sales goals are, and they kind of give me a vague idea. They might say, well, my quarterly goal is this, or my annual goal is this. And because of that lack of clarity, it's really challenging for them to know what their sales goals are on a monthly basis. And unless you have a super long sales cycle, you need to know what you're doing every day, which leads to results on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. So I would start with that. Does every sales team member know their individual sales goals? And if they don't, I would spend some time on that. And I would also spend some time on working with them on how they can achieve that sales goal. It's one thing to know what it is. It's another thing to have someone who's been there, someone who's done that, help them reverse engineer the process to get there. Next, you want to make sure that each sales team member uses what I like to call a work in progress report. And this is really a sales pipeline report that shows them exactly how many prospects they have, how many of their sales are 99% closed, and how many closed sales they have by month. Now, I could go on and on about this. I get pretty passionate because when I work with a sales team, I often get pushback from sales managers or sales team members who will tell me that they can run a report from their CRM. And I get it. There's a lot of sophisticated CRMs out there today. And CRM, if you don't know, is a customer relationship management tool. Lots of sophisticated CRMs out there. Unfortunately, a CRM is garbage in, garbage out. In other words, if you don't put the right information in, you're not going to get the right information out. Or I find that CRMs aren't typically used they aren't used the way they're supposed to be used. So the information that comes out isn't exactly helpful. Now, this could be for a variety of reasons. Sometimes in the past, sales team members have had bad experiences, and maybe some of their customers were taken from them. So that might prevent them from putting the exact or the correct information into the CRM, or other reasons that they've decided not to include that information. So when they print the reports out, it's just not very clear what they're working on or what's in their pipeline. So I highly recommend that in addition to using a CRM, that each sales team member has their sales pipeline on a very simple and clear Excel spreadsheet by month. So again, we can see at the top, those are their prospects. In the middle, it's their 99% closed, and at the bottom is their closed sales. And when they start to populate that for the next 6 months, you'll be able to see all the opportunities in their pipeline. And more importantly, they'll be able to see all the opportunities that are in their pipeline. Whether you own a small business or you're a sales team member, using this tool will definitely help you increase your sales very quickly. We've had a lot of clients who, in the beginning, were a little reluctant to use the work in progress report, but as soon as they started using it, they found that their sales actually went up pretty quickly. In fact, a lot of our clients report a double or a triple in closed sales simply by using a pipeline report like this. Again, this report calculates the totals for each month in the area of how many prospects and what the deals are in the prospects, what the deal potential is in 99% closed, and then in closed sales. So it aggregates all of those numbers so you can see a true report. Once everyone's using a work in progress report regularly, you'll start to see sales increase, mostly because people are just paying attention. They're giving attention to their prospects and moving their prospects forward. The next step is to make sure you're having weekly sales meetings, especially when you're remote and you don't see each other around the water cooler, or you're not having regular in-person meetings. You at least need to have virtual meetings so that you can gather together. Now, those Weekly sales meetings must be mandatory. And you have to tell your salespeople that it is not okay. It is absolutely not okay to schedule any type of meeting over the sales meetings. In fact, that is mandatory for them to keep their job. They've got to be at the sales meetings. Often I'll see people coming up with, like, they'll schedule a doctor's appointment over it, or they'll schedule a client appointment over that. Not showing up for those mandatory meetings will cause a dip in sales. Why? Because as a salesperson, I'm not being accountable. When I was a sales manager, I had each one of my sales team members present their work in progress. They presented their prospects, their 99% closed, and their closed sales. And by actually presenting it and going through the numbers, that told me that they knew the numbers. They knew who their prospects were. They knew who they were moving through the process. And inevitably, because they were paying attention, their sales went up. So even if you have a small business with just a couple of remote salespeople, I highly recommend that you have mandatory weekly sales meetings as well. In addition to those weekly sales meetings where you're all gathering together virtually, I highly recommend having mandatory weekly 15-minute check-ins. These are one-on-one meetings with your sales reps, and that's assuming that you don't have a sales manager. If you're the owner, you wouldn't be doing this if you have a sales manager, right? But if you're the sales manager or you're an owner who doesn't have a sales manager, you're going to want to do one-on-one meetings with your sales reps just to see where they are and to encourage them and to answer any other questions that they have. Again, when you pay attention to them and you give them the support that they need so they don't get stuck, you'll see an uptick in sales. All right, because you're still here, I want to share a pro tip with you. And this is something that I've used over the years when I want to really take a quantum leap in sales. It's pretty simple. Maybe you've heard it before, but this might be a little different twist on it. So I would definitely have both an individual and a sales team sales contest. And the reason you want to do that is because, number one, an individual sales contest will motivate each person to do their best. And when you have a sales team contest, that brings everyone together because this is for all of us. We all have to contribute in order to win this contest as a group. And when you're remote, this can be a really exciting way to bring everyone together. I would also have some kind of place where you're tracking everyone's sales so that we can log in and see what the progress is. I would talk about it at the sales meetings and just keep everyone pumped up about the potential of winning the individual and or the team sales contest, or both. Today we talked about how to build a remote sales team that has a strong culture and what a healthy culture can really do to help increase your sales. We talked about the fact that most sales teams are working remotely now, as most companies are post-COVID. We also dove into the importance of having every sales team member understand their sales goals individually. Then we talked about the importance of sales team members using a work in progress report so that they can track their prospects, their 99% close, and their closed sales. I also mentioned the importance of having a mandatory weekly sales meeting, and this is a meeting that no one should book over. And then the importance of having a mandatory weekly 15-minute check-in. And this would be an individual check-in, so how your salespeople are really doing and how you can help them stay unstuck. Plus, at the end, we talked about the value of having an individual sales contest as well as a sales team contest to bring everyone together and keep them motivated. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, stick with me because up next, we're going to talk about the approaches to take to hire the right people. And remember, your 2X is waiting for you too.